In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emmanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. Today we're going to continue our dive down the rabbit hole of SEO and GEO and AEO and ChatGPT answering all of our questions for us. I'm joined today by Matthew Edgar, who's back for a second episode. He's a partner at Elementive, a Colorado-based consulting firm expertly navigating the complexities of technical SEO, AI search optimization, and website performance. With over 20 years in the field, Matthew has worked with a diverse range of clients spanning from startups to Fortune 500 companies, helping them overcome technical barriers and harness the power of AI-driven solutions. He's the author of 2 upcoming guides from Appriss and has shared his insights at renowned industry events like MozCon and SMX. Connect with him at MatthewEdgar.net or on LinkedIn. And enough of that stuff, Matthew. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, you bet. And for whatever reason, my internet is funny today, so you might have to keep talking while I blank out.
Sounds good. All right.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks again for coming back on. I appreciate it. And I'd love to hear more about those guides that you're working on. What are the published works looking like for you?
Yeah. So I have 2 books that I've published with Appriss Media, and one Speed Metrics Guide just came out last year, looking at all the speed, all the different ways we can measure speed on our website, including Google's Core Vitals, but importantly, not just Google's Core Vitals. And I think speed is something that has always been important, but especially in the age of AI, is just becoming even more important. We have to make sure that if we're getting less traffic coming to our website, we convert that traffic better. One way to do that is faster speed. So that's that book. My other book is Tech SEO Guide, also published by Appriss, came out a couple of years ago. And even though it's a couple of years old, I think it's still relevant. I'm biased, but I think it's still relevant. Other people have told me that as well. And
not just your
so
mom.
It's not just me. Yeah, exactly. Not just me. Not just people who are related to me.
Yeah.
And it goes through the fundamentals of technical SEO. What do we need to do? It's actually the 3rd edition of Tech SEO Guide that they published, and so. It's really going through that. A lot of those things still very much apply, and I would say even apply more now than it was first published. So, both of those are available either Kindle or regular physical book for those who still want physical books. So, hopefully,
Right.
those guides can be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a critical thing for everybody to remember is that the kind of the fundamental SEO activities are still in play and still critical. And it's like we're layering on now with the answer engine optimization or generative engine optimization. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean and I think that's how I've kind of been thinking about it, and my thinking around this has definitely evolved through this year, and probably even since we talked a few months ago, is that the stuff that makes up GEO, AEO, whatever we end up wanting to call it, whatever term lands, it does overlap pretty heavily with SEO. I think though the way that I've been thinking about it is that it's a different ordering in some cases. So some things matter more with AEO, GEO than they maybe did with traditional search.
yeah,
So like a good example of that is like bot crawls. we have a whole new type of bot that can come to the website with interaction bots. We have agents that can come to the website. So the same fundamentals apply of, yeah, render your site correctly, load it quickly, have good HTML. That's always been true. That's been true since the beginning of SEO, but it matters in a different way and it matters more for GEO and AEO. And so that's where like it's the same fundamentals, but the ranking is a little bit different, or the ordering of those priorities maybe is slightly different. That's the way I'm kind of seeing it now. It's like
That's
there is
interesting.
a slight difference.
I'd love to hear your thoughts around content marketing and blog posts, and how do we as content marketers put blog posts onto the website now? I mean, there's some fundamental things that ChatGPT and the other engines are looking for, and they like to have the FAQs and they like to have it structured a certain way. But are we still going to have a narrative on the blog post and then have something down below it, or do we have separate pages, or what's your current thinking on that right now, Matthew?
Yeah, I guess probably like two or three main thoughts. I would say first thought would be that the structure of the post I think does matter to a great extent, both in terms of how it's written and then how it's technically put together. Do you have clear headers? Do you have clear waypoints through the article? Letting people navigate, letting bots navigate this and find things more easily. That's things like table of contents. That's header choices. That's the way it's structured and formatted. That seems to matter quite a bit to it. The other part I would call out with content is that, right, part of our goal now with content isn't just to help people read the page, it's also to help bots and help bots learn. And so, well, what do bots need to learn? When people are typing in prompts to ChatGPT or Google AI mode or whatever, right, they're highly personalized, they're highly specific. And so they're picking up very detailed nuances about, I'm this kind of person, I have these kinds of specific needs, I'm in this particular category, right? That's what's in a prompt. So if our blog posts are going to be trying to train the LLMs and influence this, then we need to make sure that our blog posts are touching on those very personalized things.
Yeah.
And so we've seen a couple of our clients do this very successfully, where they've started writing blog posts that are just hyper specific stuff they would have never written before. It's, in a travel space. I'm a family of 5. I've got kids this age. I'm traveling with just super specific stuff that is not going to apply to 90% of people reading that article, but it does really well in AI. So that I think matters. And I think that gets to probably the last point I'd call out, which is that the goals change on why we're writing blog posts. I think this is the one, as somebody who writes a lot of content, is tough for me to swallow as well as clients, is that the goals change and it's not about traffic anymore to getting blog posts. And that's tough because for the last 25 years or so, the goal with blogging has been, I write a great blog, I get content, I get traffic. That's not necessarily the case anymore. And so it's kind of reframing that when you're writing it of what the expectations are. My expectations are, I'm going to write this really great blog and it may never get any traffic, but it's going to influence an AI. How do we kind of justify that, especially if it's a larger company and you have to justify him spending time and money writing all this content, but I don't get any traffic and it's all indirect, like that becomes a little tough.
Especially when we live and die by attribution, and we've been raked over the coals for decades on attribution, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and you're hitting on it. I mean, that's the tough part, right? Is that, we've learned how to do data-driven marketing for the last, 2-3 decades, and it's been great. We are now having to unlearn how to do data-driven marketing. And that is really terrible because data-driven marketing is actually good. There's a lot of value to this. And yet now we're having to kind of go back to almost pre-internet billboard, direct mail kind of, advertising, which, fair, but it's a mindset shift for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So then I guess, what I hear is that your client is very ICP driven, right? They know who their ideal client is and what their concerns are. So I want to bring that back into the conversation, which is the foundation of this for me is is ICP, and that you're looking to answer questions that ICP has in the content that you're developing and helping them through the education funnel.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think we have to bring back into marketing is that qualitative side of the data. For a long time, we've gotten away with the quantitative. Let's look at large volume sets. Let's look at keyword trends. Let's look at that kind of stuff. That's great where we have it, but we can go back to the qualitative stuff, the kind of the old school marketing of let's not necessarily like focus groups, but or really formal interviews with our customers, but actually talk to people and talk to 3 to 5 of your customers and what are they saying, what are they thinking, how are they approaching things. You learn a ton, and you can get if you ask the right questions, you can get a lot of really good content ideas out of that.
Yeah, that I love that. I support that 1,000%. I know you'll support also going and looking for Reddit threads and finding where people are disgruntled with that sector or service providers inside that area. You could find a lot of overlap there to then generate content.
Yeah. Another one I'd call out is if you haven't already, go read the reviews on your competitors.
Yeah,
So your competitors, what are people saying on Facebook about them, or Google reviews, or Yelp, or wherever it is? What are they complaining about?
Right.
That's the stuff you need to be writing about. That's stuff you need to be talking about.
I love it. So do you think we're at a spot where we should be developing like multiple blog posts, one for the humans, one for the bots? You think we're at that place yet?
I would go one step further than that. I think we're at a point of only writing for bots.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not sure if we're at a point where we're still writing for humans necessarily. That might be a little too aggressive of a statement, but I think that if we're somewhere in the spectrum between it's all human, where we were a few years ago, and it's all bot, where we're headed. I think we're a lot closer to it's pretty much all about the bots at this point. And humans will only come to the blog post in very specific circumstances where they want to verify data. They want, to confirm something. Like in finance space, this is where I've seen this kind of play out with, clients in the finance space. We have, people rightfully don't want to just trust AI to tell them the things about finance, which is good. Like, don't trust AI to tell you about finance. That's a really good choice. Medical is another one like that, right? And so in those cases, people will come to the blog and they will do that. I wouldn't say it's necessarily having multiple blog posts. It's probably one blog post, but you want to think about that one blog post for multiple audiences. And it's, okay, what's the stuff I need to answer that a human is likely to come back and see? And that's stuff that probably in terms of structure, you want a little closer to the top of the page, easier to skim through and find. Stuff that, is more for bots, that like hyper personalized stuff, for the details, the richer information you want to provide that humans probably aren't going to see. That's probably stuff you can probably put later in the post, but I think it probably makes sense to kind of keep that more as one post versus ending up with lots of duplicate content where you're going to have basically the same post, repeated in multiple ways.
Yeah, I get you. What do you think about going back into the library and restructuring posts for the bot traffic?
I think that's a valuable endeavor. Going back to historic posts, and where else, can you update this? Where can you enhance this? The other thing that updating gets you is that I forget the percentage, but a really large percentage of the blog posts, in particular, the ChatGPT Perplexity 2 visits are all recent updates. So if it's more than a few months since you updated something, they're not going to crawl it as much. I've seen that in log file data that I've reviewed as well, where bots just aren't coming back to older content. Older is a loose definition here, where it's more than 3 to 6 months. Not necessarily what I would consider older, especially for certain topics. Like, okay, like I've seen this on my blog too. I mean, stuff I've written hasn't really changed. What can I say about 404 errors or broken links or redirects or something that isn't as true as it was 3 to 6 months ago. But if I go in and I update that information, it's more likely to get picked up and crawled. So I think updates serve those two purposes. One, it's a good way to restructure things. Two, it's a good way to kind of bring in new content, and then as a result, hopefully get a little bit more activity, hopefully increase AI mentions of that content.
Yeah, that makes sense. It is interesting that time horizon has gotten so small of what is considered new and old, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. And how do you keep up with that?
Yeah.
I mean, if you even have, you don't even necessarily have that big of a blog. You have, let's say, 100, couple hundred blog posts. Okay, fine. Maybe right now your cadence is I update, one every week or something. I get to 50 a year. Well, now you're behind,
Yeah.
and you're not keeping up and updated enough. That's tough.
And it kind of encourages bad behavior from the marketing side. I think that's the other thing that I don't like about it. But I'm not making the rules. I'm just following them.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you and I were running OpenAI and Google, it'd probably be a different way. But
Yeah.
we're not. So
Yeah, exactly. So, what do you see as kind of the things that people should be focusing on, for the next 3 to 6 months with their SEO GEO activities?
yeah, I think right now one of the biggest areas of focus is still very much on making sure that AI bots can access the website, AI agents can
And
access
how do
the
they do
website.
that? What's the process?
Yeah. So step one is we need to monitor and see if they even are.
Okay.
So if you're using WordPress, there's a great plugin called Dark Visitors that's free for most websites. You can install Dark Visitors. It will tell you whether or not bots and agents are accessing it or not. It's really great plugin, easy to use. Like I said, it's free for most sites. Like if you have way too much traffic for probably even being on WordPress, it's going to probably be expensive. If you don't have WordPress, there are ways you can get that in log files. That can be a little clunky and cumbersome to do that, but you can check and you can see whether or not these are hitting the website. That would be the kind of step one that I would say, is whether or not they have access. That's the first thing to work on.
Yep.
And whether or not they're accessing the right things. Because as soon as you start getting into dark visitors data or log files or wherever you can get this, it's very easy to find, well, they're paying way too much attention to a page I don't want them to pay attention to for a part of the site.
Yeah.
Great. How do I rewrite my robots.txt file maybe to disallow certain parts of my website that I don't want them to go to or don't want them to access? And can I kind of guide them to a different place? So that's where I would say to start. That's where I see a lot of people focusing right now. The other big area I see people focusing, particularly e-commerce websites, is the agentic side.
Yeah.
What does agentic commerce look like? This one's still really emerging. Things like the agentic commerce protocol, ACP, that's been introduced, it's well beyond what even like small and mid-sized companies can do at this point. Even enterprise companies are really struggling with this because it's really involved. So my guess is it kind of depends on how this holiday shopping season goes. Walmart has a huge partnership with OpenAI around this. If it goes well, I could see that really exploding. So right now it's more should learn about this and follow this and probably watch what Walmart and some of the other big retailers are doing in this space. And is this going to be the next big thing? So those are some of the big things I would say. The other big one that I throw out there is that I've seen a lot of people just trying to figure out and understand is what are the tools you need to measure things. Obviously, like I just mentioned, dark visitors is one. That's a good
Yep.
way to measure, activity. What are the other things that we can do to measure this? How do we capture value? We don't have Google Search Console. We don't have reliable traffic metrics coming in from these tools. So, what can we measure and how can we understand this? I see a lot of companies kind of focusing on that. They're trying to get clear on that, maybe even starting to invest in some of these tools going into next year.
Yep.
Those are some of the big areas of focus I've seen.
What are you seeing in your clients as far as like a big number of ChatGPT referrals to what's a big percentage of traffic?
It's small. Most clients I'm looking at, the biggest is probably it's less than 1% still,
Yeah.
maybe just above 1%.
Right.
Actually, saying that there was an article on I think Search Engine Land or Search Engine Journal at the end of last week that kind of found that for most sites it actually averages around about 1% of traffic. coming in from AI tools, and ChatGPT is like the leader of that. So it's small in comparison to what we're used to from Google. So not getting a ton of traffic there directly. Now, the thing I would call out is that it's not necessarily going to be coming in from ChatGPT. It might be unattributed
Right.
traffic.
Yeah.
And so direct traffic, and this is kind of true across the board, lots of different industries, lots of different clients, direct traffic is way up this year compared to last year, even compared to the beginning of
Oh
this
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So this is traffic. We have no idea what it is because it's direct. It's not attributed. Like we can't
Right.
pin it back. It could just be a spam bot.
Whose IP do I need to block? Doggone
Exactly.
it.
Or it could be legitimate.
Yeah.
But what's cool is that for most clients, we're also seeing an increase in conversions from direct traffic,
Nice.
which makes me think that it's more legitimate, and it's
Yeah.
people who it's kind of indirectly from AI. So they found it in AI mode, or they found it in ChatGPT, and then they came to the website directly instead of clicking. So what I would kind of say is the number of visits you get from ChatGPT is going to be disappointingly low. And you're going to look at it and go, oh my word, why is this even a thing I'm worrying about?
Yeah.
But once you start factoring in direct traffic and some of those influences, it can potentially be more substantial than maybe it actually looks like it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm hoping that you create the tool that is the clean attribution from an AI directed dollars. So
Exactly.
next time, by the time we talk in July, I want that to be online, Matthew. Oh, uh-oh. Did I lose?
Create something like that. And
yeah, it came back. Yeah. So yeah, do you think you can whip that up for us?
Sure. Yeah. Let's just see what we can come up with. But right, I think everybody is kind of trying to figure that out, and it's it's really questionable, whether or not we're gonna get that or how.
Yeah. Well, it is ironic that we went from having really good secure data identification, and then we're back kind of into the dark ages for a while here, just trying to figure out where it's coming from and how to keep spending money on that part of the program.
Yeah, and you just hit on it. I mean, that's the hardest part for people, is how do they justify budget? And I think for what I've seen, big and small companies right now, they're kind of looking at it going, yeah, there's something here. I kind of see the potential. I kind of see the value, but how much do I need to invest? And how drastically should I change my content? And is it really worth it? And they want the data. And, I get it. I want the data too, but
Sure.
you kind of have to go with
Trust me.
Yeah. Trust the trends, trust,
Yeah.
that this seems like it's pointing in the right direction. And if you have to make big investments in changing how your website is rendered, big changes to how your content plans come together, that it's not an insignificant investment to make. Like the whole agentic side of stuff, especially bigger companies right now, they're investing tons and tons of money and tons of time in this, all just kind of on the hope that it's going to work, on the hope that's going to be a thing. We don't know. We don't have the data to back that up or prove that in the way we would have, even 3 years ago.
Well, we know that AI is not going away, so that's kind of the push pull on this. Is that can't tell you exactly, but it's not going to disappear, and we're doing the best we can until we have clear data.
Right.
That's how the world works. It's a lot of unknowns.
Exactly. Yeah. Get comfortable with the unknown. So, yeah.
All right. Well, Matthew, let's see. Tell us again how we get in touch with you to have a conversation.
Yeah. So my website is matthewedgar.net, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and always happy to answer any questions related to technical SEO, AI search, and all the related subjects.
All right. Well, I really appreciate your time today, and thanks for your insights, and stay in touch with you and get you on the show again. We can see what's changed in a few months.
Yeah, thank you. It was great talking with you today.
All right. Thank you very much, Matthew. Well, that's an interesting perspective of how to make some changes to your website, your content marketing, restructuring some of the data that already exists, and touch that again and update it. And then take a look at a tool like Dark Visitors so that you can understand your bot traffic and what's going on with your WordPress site. hope it's been valuable way for you to spend some time today. I also hope that you take some time to interact with AI tools, including, but not limited to, ChatGPT, and get some help building a custom GPT to make your life easier. Take away some of the work that you're doing. Get some time back to upskill, some time back to spend with your family, and some time to get outside in nature, away from the screens. It's Emmanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening.